Well, early voting in many municipal races across the state starts 1 month from this Tuesday. That includes the mayor's race in Minneapolis. 15 candidates have filed to run for election. The election is November 4th. It is a ranked choice election. Now, fundraising figures show incumbent Mayor Jacob Frey has raised $647,000. Senator Omar Fateh has raised $268,000. Dwayne Davis has raised $174,000, and Jazz Hampton $77,000. Last month, Senator Omar Fateh, who is a Democratic socialist, pulled off a surprising upset, winning the Minneapolis DFL nomination over incumbent Mayor Jacob Frey. Fateh has pulled off a big upset before. In 2020, he stunned the DFL establishment by beating longtime state senator Jeff Hayden in the August primary. He supports an additional income tax for wealthy Minneapolis residents, rent stabilization, a $20 minimum wage, 24-hour bus lanes on Hennepin Avenue, and in 2022 supported a losing charter amendment that critics say would have defunded the police. In the Minnesota Senate, he is best known for championing the bill that now provides free college for students whose families earn less than $80,000 a year, as well as a minimum wage and job protections for Uber and Lyft providers. Senator Fateh has been endorsed by 9 of his fellow DFL senators, including Senator John Hoffman, who was the target of a recent assassination attempt. We have invited and expect to have Mayor Frey on very soon after the state fair. But joining me right now is Senator Omar Fateh. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And you've just been a little bit busy, not just with your campaign, but congratulations on the birth of your son, Imran, and congratulations to your wife, Kaltoum. How are you? How is everybody doing?
We're doing amazing. Both mother and Imran are doing very well. It's a first time father, first time mother, but we're learning as we go along, right?
And how are you doing?
We're doing all right. Sacrificing some sleep, but doing well.
All right, that sounds to be expected.
Yes.
Let me ask you about some of your ideas for increasing revenue for the city. One of them is to seek a special income tax for, quote, wealthy Minneapolis residents. How do you define wealthy? What is the income level that you would say somebody is wealthy or a household is wealthy?
Well, for far too long, the interest of the wealthy class, the donors for our mayor, the millionaires and billionaires, they're the ones that had their interests protected, while the rest of us, the renters, the immigrants, the transit riders, all we've seen is vetoes and broken promises. And so we want to come up with a way in which the wealthy pay their fair share to provide for all of the basic services.
But who would be considered wealthy? At what income level? I mean, you've created a state college funding plan where you know, low income is defined as below 80,000.
Yes.
What's the income level where somebody is wealthy?
Well, that would be something that I would work with the city council, just like the tuition-free college bill that you mentioned. When I first drafted it, we drafted it as a universal bill. Because of the political realities we were facing.
So you don't have a number, a dollar figure for the salary somebody would make or the income people would have?
I would say if someone makes $1 million or above, that they'd be considered wealthy. But again, I know that since being a state senator, when you come up with a proposal, you have to work with your legislators, your fellow colleagues, to come up with a plan that benefits everyone. But right now, what we're seeing is a my way or the highway approach that's not working.
So somebody who earns $1 million a year would be considered wealthy, I think, by most people. All right. Another thing that you've suggested is a vacancy tax on commercial buildings that are empty. I haven't heard about this in the commercial world. I have heard about it in the residential world. Wouldn't that just drive businesses away, or do you really think it would attract new businesses?
No, I think it would definitely attract new businesses. A lot of the concerns that we're hearing on the campaign is that they want businesses to come back. They want small businesses to come back downtown and uptown. They want to see our main corridors flourish. And that's one way to do it, but also coupling that with things like the Vibrant Storefront Initiative, providing small business grants for our small businesses. I think that's a reality that we can make come true.
All right. In terms of homelessness, you have said you'd like to see a, quote, more compassionate policy towards these homeless encampments. What exactly does that mean? Because for many people who live in these neighborhoods next door to these encampments, it's been a nightmare for them. It's been very, very difficult. What do you mean? Would you keep the encampments just in place?
So a couple of things. Number one, Mayor Frey campaigned in 2017 that he would end homelessness within 5 years. And right now, there are more unhoused folks than when he first took office. I think that's a shame. I think that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, the mayor says that actually that unsheltered homelessness has decreased 25% since he has taken office. Do you disagree with that figure?
Well, if you could take my word for it or the mayor's word for it, you can go outside and see it for yourself. The reality is that we see what's going on. The Hennepin County data proves otherwise. But what we want to see is a more humane approach to homelessness, not just bulldozing folks block by block. We know that within our encampments, we've seen a spread of infectious diseases like HIV and syphilis and hepatitis, those grounds for more violence and things like that. We want to see our unhoused neighbors protected. We want to take a housing first approach and invest in our shelters and providing housing for folks.
You do support rent stabilization. An effort towards that in St. Paul really has not gone very well. The number of applications for new apartment buildings dropped 80%, and St. Paul has actually walked back much of this resolution for new apartment buildings going up. Doesn't that worry you as a supporter of rent stabilization, that if it didn't work in St. Paul, why would it work in Minneapolis?
Well, in 2021, residents voted to put forth a rent stabilization policy to continue that conversation. I think we should afford them that opportunity. We can learn from different mistakes from different jurisdictions, yes, but I think we can come up with a sound policy that both protects renters with tenant protections, but we can also incentivize new building. I was the author of the bill that protected the Minneapolis 2040 plan from the frivolous lawsuit, so I'm someone that does care about providing new housing.
Okay. I want to ask you about your support for police. It's my understanding, and as I saw it as I covered it in 2020, that you supported defunding the Minneapolis police.
In 2021, I supported the charter amendment in which would create a Department of Public Safety in which we can have a police force that is accountable under them.
But before that, didn't you support defunding the police?
Well, when we spoke about public safety in general, police officers and law enforcement, they're not the only form of public safety. What we know right now is, for example, last biennium, I worked really hard with our colleagues to bring in $19 million in public safety aid. The city's own report showed that 47% of 911 calls can be diverted away from police officers. And I think that jives really well with what we heard at the Capitol, with law enforcement officers saying, we can't respond to every call. We need help.
But you don't, you're saying you did not support defunding the police?
No, I supported providing the conversations around supporting the Department of Public Safety. And I think we can do that. And what people understand here in Minneapolis is that being pro-police accountability does not mean you're anti-public safety.
How about the June 3rd raid on Lake Street? You have been very upset by that. This has really stirred a lot of emotions. You feel that the police chief should be punished for what happened there. The police chief did show up there. What exactly did he do wrong?
I think both our police chief and our mayor failed. And the city auditor's report concluded some of the conclusions that I found also.
The city auditor said that the police had not broken the city regulation against Minneapolis police joining in ICE raids.
Well,
I mean, the audit found in favor of the police.
So two things. Number one, the audit showed that we need to strengthen our separation ordinance. But number two, make
the language even tougher.
Absolutely. But number two, I think it's really heartbreaking that rather than having a united front, whether we have a federal raid that's immigration related or not, we can't leave our city council members out in the dark for 4 hours because they're the communicators to our community. And we saw a lot of elevated anxiety and worry, and rightfully so, when we have a hostile federal government.
Can you work with this police chief? Will you keep him as a police chief?
Well, that's a conversation I'd have with stakeholders like the city council members, but I can work with anyone in the city council and any police chief.
Because he was here 3 weeks ago sitting in that very chair saying that he had no advance warning of this raid, that he found out that there was this mass gathering, and he felt as a matter of his job that he needed to respond to a scene that was out of control. If he hadn't responded, wouldn't people have been upset?
Well, whether or not it's related to crowd control, I don't think that's the responsibility of MPD. The chaos that's caused by the federal government should be also cleaned up by them. But at the same time, that doesn't absolve them of the responsibility to communicate with City Council and with community about what's really happening.
Your campaign has really been on fire. You are continuing to fundraise. Mayor Frey never got the DFL Minneapolis endorsement in his previous 2 wins. He's a very successful in terms of a campaigner. He's considered a very good campaigner. Do you really think that you can beat him?
Well, 2 things. Number one, And this is very different. He did not get endorsed the last 2 times, but neither did his challengers. And for the first
And neither
time,
did Mayor R.T. Ryback.
But for the first time since the founding of our party, a challenger defeated an incumbent mayor. So that has not happened before. And so, yes, they want to make it seem like our campaign is a long shot, but it's really not. And we got the DFL endorsement because we had a broad coalition of folks, from progressives to blue dogs, from young people to more senior members that are just fed up with broken promises and vetoes.
Thank you so much, Senator Fateh. I'm getting in trouble with my producer, but really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.